What's up, podcast fans? It's your buddy Adam, the PhD, the previously heavy dude, and this is a very special episode of the Million Pound Mission podcast. We're going to get to listen in as I do a one-on-one coaching session with one of my clients for my Transformation ReBoot program. And we're going to dive deep into the transformation danger zones and come out the other side with a clear action step to take so that they can continue making progress towards those awesome goals that they've set for themselves. Now, don't forget that right now, registration is open through the end of July, where you can do a free 10-day trial of the Transformation ReBoot program and reclaim control over your transformation. Now, let's dive into the episode. All right, friends, this is another edition of the ReBoot Deep Dive. We're talking time management. I'm not a huge fan of that word, but that's what we're calling it. And I wanted to kick this off. I've got some notes, just general. I want to start off with some like general concept stuff, and then I'm going to dive in where you guys are struggling with like what you would like to find extra time for, where you feel like you're spending too much time that isn't really purposeful. So be thinking along those lines, and we'll have a nice discussion. I want active participation. If you guys have questions as you go, you can type them in the chat, and we can cover, or you can just chime in. Cool. All right. So I've already done a lot of hot seat calls today, and I don't remember. I think it was one of you guys that I gave this analogy to, but I'll say it again. Actually, I think it was Mandy, maybe. A lot of people, like with their daily routine, it's like we are driving a car and we have our foot on the gas, full blast, and we aren't holding on to the wheel, you know? And so it's just like, let's just go as hardcore, fast paced as we can. Schedule things back to back to back, fill out the whole entire day. And then if we run into something, we deal with it at that moment. So I feel like just in that analogy, like we just have to be able to grab the steering wheel and take control a little bit, because if we aren't in control of our schedule, someone else is, and they aren't going to give us a schedule that we would actually prefer. So that's just kind of a mental set point there is, as you go through your daily schedule, do you feel like your hands are on the steering wheel or not? And if not, we're going to fix that. First rule that I have with time management, I kind of apply my minimalist lifestyle approach to this. So when, as a minimalist, I try to keep my wardrobe to 80 items or less. And I'm not like recommending that for everybody or anything like that. But if I get a new shirt, I donate a shirt to Goodwill, so something comes in, something else goes out, and that's how I keep my balance. And we need to apply that concept to our schedule, because, we all use the term, I've got a full plate. Well, if you put something else on your plate, you have to take something else off the plate. So as you gain like new opportunities at work, then something has to come off the plate to balance that out. If you get a new relationship, I deal with a lot of people that maybe they're divorced and they kind of get in a groove with their single life, and all of a sudden they start dating someone else again. There's time invested in that. We can't just add that time and take it away from like sleep. There has to be a balance on the other side of the equation. So there's a lot of just what I call buffer zone in our schedule, where it's just like random stuff, like laying on the couch and watching TV or screwing around on Facebook or, Instagram and things like that. I mean, unless you're watching my live videos, then you really know. But there's a lot of time that's ate up on those things. So it's easy to find the time. And we're going to, in this next 28-day cycle, I uploaded a tool called the Lifestyle Audit. And this, if you've never done one of these, it'll rock your world. Like it will legit. It's very, very, very effective. It's usually emotional, especially for people that have children, because you'll realize that you're spending like 30 times more hours at work than you are with your own family and friends and children. And then you start to think like, well, what's the purpose of all this? In our fast-paced American lifestyle, we add a lot of status, and we're driven a lot by ego. And then on the back end, who misses out? It's a lot with our family and friends and the connections that we're actually after. So the key point that I was getting at there is, if you add something new, if there's a new relationship, new levels of responsibility, don't delete that off of things that are crucial to our life, like sleep. Like Ian, like I've been on him in the group. where he's added some responsibility where he's waking up earlier for, he's now doing, he's a CrossFit instructor and he's teaching classes. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you've got the band thing at night, and then it runs into an early morning. We have to make some adjustments in the schedule, and we're working on that. So that's a good example where he has a new responsibility that shifted into a schedule, and you can't take foundational things like sleep, meal prep, fitness time, body maintenance time, personal development, personal investment time. That's where a lot of parents, especially moms, really struggle, where it's just all about the kids, and they will just give up everything for those children, but they aren't filling up their own cup. They're on that airplane, they're not putting their own mask on before they can go and help somebody else. And that it leads to a lot of burnout. So make sure that we are adding, if we add something in, we take something out off the back end. The third thing that I want to put out there, this is probably the most helpful thing with me, with my own schedule, with my own time management. So just to put it in perspective, this isn't me bragging. This is just me. This is everything. I'm very efficient with what I do. I own 3 companies. I put out 2 podcast episodes every single week. I live cast several times per week. I'm a dad. I do most of our laundry. I do all of our dishes. I cook all my own meals. I pick the kids up from school 2 times a week. I take them to school 2 times a week. I have friends and family, and I only work 4 days a week on average, and I get all that done. The main reason I get all that done is because every day, at the end of the day, I take 10 minutes to map out the next day. That legit sets me up to win the next day. And that's how I can get so much done. So I feel like we can be the person that's 10 minutes late to everything, or the person that takes 10 minutes to set ourselves up for the next day. And we have those 2 options basically. So the way I grab onto the steering wheel is at night, I sit down with my journal and I just go in 15-minute increments throughout the whole day. How is each 15 minutes, filled? So tomorrow, I know I'm going to wake up at 3:30 to 3:45. I may sleep in a little bit. And then I know I have to be at the gym by 5. So between 3:45 and 5 is me feeding the dog, getting my food ready, stuff like that. And then I get to the gym. I set up for my class, 5:30 to 6:30. I know that I've got a little bit of a buffer to get home and do more food prep if I need to. 7 to 8, I spend time with the family, and I eat my first meal usually. And then 8 to 9, I take the kids to school. Then I go to the gym. 9 to 10, I get my workout in. 10 starts my work day, and then I map out all the things I want to do with my work day between 10 and whenever I finish up. And it's all just mapped out in 15-minute increments, like my meal times, my meal prep times. And it's very easy for me to do at 24 hours in advance, basically. And I just map it out, and then I just walk through the day and execute. And that one thing helps so much, so that, because I feel like, again, a lot of people are just walking into that next day and they just, their hands are off that steering wheel. If they hit a road bump, then they deal with it. If they run somebody over, they deal with it. If they run into a problem, they deal with it. But this allows you to take control of your schedule and add that buffer time in. The planner that I use, Ian, I use a Best Self journal. I've been begging them for discount codes and podcast sponsorships. They have not bit yet, but it's just like a little blue journal. Bestself.co, I think is it's a quarterly journal. It's a 90-day journal, but I'll show you, here's today, it's got time blocked off for the hot seats, the different chats, all that stuff, little gratitude thing. There's a fancy little quote, but I use it for my 15-minute blocks for each day, the day before. But you can use any journal and do that. You can just use a piece of paper. You can use a computer spreadsheet. But just getting in that habit of just thinking for 10 minutes for the next day, huge game changer. What's up? Okay, that was the tip there. Fourth thing that I wanted to put into your brain is that sleep's a priority. When we get low on sleep, other people seem to get 50% more dumb, and that's a sign that we're low on sleep. If you think everyone around you is acting like a jerk, you're probably low on sleep. That's the sign. And we get super busy. Lena and I were talking about this, in her hot seat today. I'm like, we can't sacrifice sleep for more stuff, because that makes everything else harder, 100% across the board. We just can't I'm coming from the guy that's worked himself into the hospital 3 different times from not taking care of my sleep. The first time I passed out 2 times in my bathroom because I was getting, my alarm goes off or whatever in the morning, and I had about 3 hours of sleep, and I pass out, hit my head, give myself a concussion, knocked out cold twice, go to the emergency room. And then the third time was just panic attack, but it's just due to lack of sleep, not taking, adding too many things and not protecting that sleep zone. We're going to be more efficient. I got more efficient, more effective when I moved to a 4-day work week than when I was doing a 7-day work week, because I'm refreshed. I have 2 to 3 days to recharge every single week and just fill up my cup and enjoy my family and replenish. And then I come out, all guns blazing those other days, and I still put in 40 hours a week, easy. But it's 40 very effective hours. People ask me, like, how do you get all this stuff done? I'm like, I can think clearly. I can communicate clearly. When I'm in a moment like this, I'm not thinking about 12 other things. I'm thinking about you guys right now and effectively communicating this message, not trying to multitask and do a million other things. So, that's because I prioritize my schedule. I prioritize sleep. That's a very important thing. So, that's another concept to work around we can discuss today. And then start with a commitment to a small shift in one area. With the lifestyle audit, in that process, what I'll have you do is I'll have you track and compartmentalize how you spend your time in an average week. And we will go, okay, this is the average. This is the current average situation. Then we go to ideal and say, this is what I want it all to look like. So if you want to sleep 10 hours a night and you only want to work 25 hours a week, like that's what you put in an ideal. You don't hold anything back as long as it all adds up to 164 hours or whatever it is for the total for the week. That's the important thing. But then we bridge the gap with a 10% improvement in 1 to 3 areas. So if right now you're only getting, 8 hours of sleep and you want to improve that, we try to bump that by 10% and start implementing that the next week. So a small variable shift in one area. Maybe it's personal development time. That's the area I see people really lacking, is they aren't, again, filling up their cup. They aren't reading. They aren't listening to podcasts. They aren't watching videos. They aren't doing that self-education or just time to just read and just chill and just maybe foam roll or something like that. So maybe that starts with 15 minutes a day this next week. If you look a day ahead, block off that time, you make sure it's a priority, you get it done. And what you'll find is you don't miss out on a whole lot of other stuff. You're not like, man, I didn't get anything done because I foam rolled for 15 minutes. Like, our schedule will eat that time up naturally with just, either being busy, being lazy, watching TV, whatever. But if we block that off and make it a priority, we get it done and you don't really feel the difference. So those are just some talking points, some ideas that I want to put out there. Where do you guys struggle, or what questions do you have? Let's get the conversation rolling here. Who wants to chime in? The floor is open.
I got a question.
Yes. Ian.
I was wondering, as you were talking about sleep, just for you personally, like, do you ever take a day, especially after like a super hard workout or something, where you will purposely sleep longer, or like what's the longest you ever sleep? What's the longest you ever stay in bed?
I shoot for at least 8 hours. I mean, that's kind of a good standard. My one super early day is definitely Tuesdays. That's an early day. Actually, when I was describing my schedule, that's my Tuesday schedule that I was talking about with all that stuff. But the if I can get 8 hours, I know I'm good. And that way, if I wake up, I kind of just work backwards. I go, okay, I need 8 hours. And I know I need to wake up at 4 a.m. I'm in bed by 8. That's what I shoot for. I make that a non-negotiable. Our kids go to bed at a certain time. The kids don't tell us when they're going to bed. We tell them when they're going to bed because we're the adults. A lot of people are like, well, my kid's not tired until midnight. And I'm like, okay, though, they go to bed at 8. That's the deal. So it's, but yeah, as soon as they're in bed, I'm in bed and I'm ready to rock. But I always just kind of play the math backwards depending on what time. But like, I rarely am up past 9:30 just because I know like the quality of sleep time. You want to get, Sean Stevens' book, he talks 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's the critical 4-hour window with our circadian rhythm, with our hormonal cycles. and you want to be asleep during that time. So that's not necessarily I go to bed at 10 p.m. That's I am asleep.
Yeah.
So usually I try to make sure I have at least a half an hour buffer. 9:30 is like super back end for that. So I try not to break into that more than once a week for sure. So does that help?
Yeah, I was just curious, like after the open workout yesterday, it felt great and I totally treated it like a competition, but I'm dragging today and I got over 8 hours of sleep. I was wondering if you ever like hibernate or ever do like 10 to 12 hours in bed because you're just beat.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that happening too. And I do naps too on my really early day on Tuesdays. I try to hit like a half an hour nap midday just to kind of recharge and go. And I block that off of my calendar. So I make sure it happens. And that's something you could use too, like on your early day when you teach, when you come off weekend band festivities late and then the early situation, if you have one of those, hop into a nap situation later that day and it won't mess up your circadian rhythm. So
yeah. Cool.
Nice. And then other thing, I can't remember if we talked about this on one of the calls yet or not, but I'm listening to Aubrey Marcus's book and he talked about waking up a certain way to set your circadian rhythm. So he talked about hydration with electrolytes, aka like pink Himalayan sea salt. So water, salt, maybe lemon, and then do light exposure, either sunlight or if it's too early, like get light, like regular light, just turn on lights and expose your eyes to light, and then movement. So those are the three things to wake your body up and say, hey, start the circadian rhythm now because I am awake. And that will actually help you sleep better because that sets the tone and lets your body know people will be less likely once you get into rhythm with this, with your circadian rhythm, people will be less likely to feel like, oh, I need a nap. It's 9 a.m. I need to sleep again. And that wakes your body up and lets it know that it's time to get going. Also, I've been reading research on meditations for those of you that meditate. Meditating earlier in the day, right when you wake up, closer to sleep times, basically has been found to increase your quality of sleep. They said in the morning, like as soon as you wake up, putting your brain back into that meditative state helps with circadian rhythm and setting you up to sleep better at the end of the day. You could also do it right before bed as well, and that's positive brain function. So, and meditation anytime is good, but those are kind of optimal times for sleep quality. Hey guys, just a really quick break in the action. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. This is just a very quick reminder that my Transformation ReBoot program registration is currently open, and you can start your free 10-day trial anytime between now and the end of July. Now, once registration closes, you won't be able to get in until October. So do not delay. Start your free trial today. Head on over to millionpoundmission.com. Now, let's get back to the episode. Like, where are you guys struggling with time and you can't figure it out? Like, I've got all this work stuff, or I got kids stuff, or, I got friend stuff, husband stuff, wife stuff. Just give me some examples. Let's talk it out.
I have a question. If it's okay. When you talked about how you are so super efficient with your time, but also regarding your history, I have a question. How do you avoid the effectiveness of creating anxiety and stress? Because I myself, I too, I went into the wall basically before my accident, and now it's just been kind of I want to basically take the time now when I'm 100% again after my accident to kind of catch up on everything I couldn't do then. And I'm kind of always pushing myself. I should be able to do this, so I'll just try it out and stuff like that. So how do you avoid the effectiveness creeping into anxiety and stress and all of that? Because for me, that's like a kind of fine line. So how do you keep those apart? What's the...
Yeah. So some of the terminology, any of this, I should be able to, or I used to be able to, that's a mindset that we need to be real careful if we start having those conversations with ourselves. And there's no real catching up when it comes to lifestyle. So like with me, it's all about balance, right? And so I'm a creative person. I get a million ideas a minute, and I feel like I need to do all of them all the time, you know? So I allow and I've learned through, you know, putting myself in the hospital several times through basically to give myself some license to write down ideas. I review them every week, and I decide when it's time to pluck one of those ideas off the list and put it into action. That allows me to feel that, like, that fear of missing out, of I'm not doing this thing. It's a great idea. It's a great thing. It's a thing I want to pursue. It's a relationship I want to pursue. It's a new activity or whatever. Like right now, I want to write another book, bad, like real bad. I've got like 3 books that I want to write. So I've put them on my, I use a app called Evernote. It's a free app that allows you to like organize folders and stuff. My organizational brain like absolutely loves it. Lists, links, it's amazing. So if you enjoy those sorts of things, if you enjoy lists, links, folders, organization, check out Evernote. It's amazing. But I keep an Evernote file called Idea Bank, and I'll take a screenshot of it sometime. It's like thousands of things long. Like I can just scroll and scroll and scroll, but I review it once a week. And that relieves me of the fear of like, I'm missing out on something. I'm forgetting something that's important that I should be doing. I'm blowing an idea that I should have taken action on. So it's all there. And I give myself permission to not do it right now. I'm like, oh, this is a great idea. I definitely want to write a book, but it's going to have to be the right time. And I've got to take something else off my plate, or I've got, like right now, I've been putting the last month and a half, 2 months, I've been really putting a lot of extra time in with Million Pound Mission University, a lot of extra interviews, building the website, all this stuff. And then in the middle of that, I'm like, I want to write 3 books. And that just pops up like a little like squirrel in my brain there. And I'm like, okay, let's pump our brakes. We don't have time to do this. It's not necessary to do this right now. So I put it on the list, and I know that the time will come to write those books. But I've got to finish the work on Million Pound Mission University, because that's impactful and it's timely. Like that's the next thing. And now that we're kind of done with that, launching that, get the footwork going there, get a little foothold, and then I can add some time in. But I also, when I add something new, a new project, I try to really think about how can I leverage time. You know, can I get like a virtual assistant to help with some things? How can I delegate some things? How can I add in some teamwork components? So I don't know. That's just the way I operate. Did that help? Did that help with anything?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we touched on the subject during the hot seat, because I'm just like that, like you described yourself. Like I get ideas all the time. Like, oh my God, I want to do this. Like sometimes when I can't fall asleep, I just look up like in the room, and I was like, oh, I need to paint this room. But if I'm gonna paint it, I need to install new wardrobes, because I need to like refurnish the whole thing. And we need to like paint our house as well, and we need to fix the staircase, and we need to, you know, like it's a never-ending loop. And this is why like meditation for me is so important. But like I still have issues with like you said, like missing out. I don't like not having time to do things. I'm very impulsive. Like I want to do that now, like directly when I get the idea, like, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to buy everything, and I'm just going to do it. So, okay. So writing things down and reviewing it really helps. Yeah.
And just give yourself, you know, I put processes in place each week where I review certain checklists on certain days. So on Thursdays, one of my checklist things, I review my idea bank, and that's just an automated part of my schedule. It pops up, and I know that one of my Thursday tasks, review the idea bank. I review it. And if I have more ideas while I'm doing that, I add them to that. And if there's something that I feel like I want to, because the nice thing about letting an idea kind of just marinate a little bit is that usually it gets better, you know, there's an opportunity and you're like, ooh, that's the perfect thing for this thing that I'm doing now. And you add it in. That's how I've formed a lot of the Reboot community, is that I've had these different ideas. I'm like, I really want to start doing community chats like this, because I know it would be a lot of fun. And I know I want certain thing with our Facebook group, and then we combine them and it makes an awesome thing. So that helps. Now, I'll give you guys a couple of challenges to think about too, because you kind of brought it up there. Like I like structure, but I also strive for what I call a relaxed pace as much as possible. Like I get things done. I have expectations of myself, especially on my work days, to get things done. But I don't like feeling like it's just a full out sprint all day long. Like I got to get to this next thing, and then I have to check this. And I got to boom. Like I want to be able to breathe a little bit throughout the day. So one challenge that I would give you guys is this next week, try to implement, and you can define what relaxed pace means to you, but just adding a little bit of buffer in between things. So it's just not like back to back to back to back, and pick a morning or an afternoon or an evening of any day next week and just say, this is going to be my relaxed pace challenge. So normally I would have 500 things to do. I'm going to maybe put it down to like, I'll have one thing that I really want to get done this morning between 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. And the rest, I'm just going to have a relaxed pace, and I'm going to be productive, but there's no pressure to get like a million things done right now. So that's something that I've been more aware of not just like tomorrow, once I get home, I could work from 11 o'clock all the way through until as late as I want, but I try to implement a relaxed pace in there. Well, I'll go for like a 90-minute sprint, and then I'll have a 30-minute buffer. I can meditate. I can go in the sauna or whatever. I can get some stretching in. I kind of that open gap of time that I can use that however I want. So maybe I made that more complicated than I needed to. But that's the idea with the relaxed pace, is have a little block of time in there that you can do what you need to do in that moment. All right. And then the other challenge, a lot of people struggle with personal development time. So a couple of ways that you can attack this is when you're doing like if I'm doing the laundry or if I'm doing dishes, I got my earbuds in and I'm listening to books on tape or podcasts, and that's my personal development time. And I set a minimum. I have to get 15 minutes in every single day. It's one of the 5 things that I check off every single day. All right. So that happens. And it's just run it. Or if I'm in the car, I don't listen to music while I'm in the car. I listen to personal development stuff. So that's an easy way to get your personal development fix on. Now, I don't like listening to personal development stuff when I work out because I have to focus on like working out. And I don't like to split my brain, and there's a lot of stuff that I feel like I'll miss, but some people are like that. So, whatever leads to more £1 Million Mission downloads, I don't care. That's just kidding.
So just, I'm looking for my chargers. Sorry for moving it around, but like, like an added question to that is because like when you get all of those ideas, because I usually get them when I'm like super motivated or super inspired. So how do you like kind of, do that? Like, how do you just write it on a list? Because like when I get inspired, I'm like, oh, I'm going to drop everything. Like, I'm just going to do this for I don't know. I don't even have a time for it. I'm just going to do it. So
yep. I got you. So I book
not so effective, but
well, no, I book in specific time. I schedule this though. So I put a 30-minute block on Mondays and Thursdays of creative time. So if there are any projects I just want to kind of like just dabble with, if there's anything I want to just start implementing, trying things out, experiment, or just sit and think through my list, then I can use that time for that. So you can actually schedule time in your time block in your schedule where you're like, this is my creative time. If I want to work on some projects, if I want to clean up some things, work off the list and just kind of see what happens, then that's something that it can be effective. And that way there's a little bit of structure around it. That's worked really well for me. Like that's something I've been recently adding in there with just like specific time to just get creative and think about, exploring things. Or maybe you guys can use it for like research. Like if you're like, my workouts are kind of boring. I want to, read about Payo or something, or learn about boxing or something like that. Then you could use that time for research and continuing education. So is that helpful?
Yeah. I just think I need to like implement it because I know that I'm a super impulsive person. So this is going to be a challenge for me. Definitely. Yeah. So but it's really good strategies for it. So thank you.
Yeah. I think just having a list and then you can do that every single day. You can give yourself 30 minutes or whatever works for you every single day of that's kind of part of the relaxed pace. Also, you're like, I can do whatever I want. If I want to take a nap during that 30 minutes, I can do that too. So have one of those blocks built in, and because that 30 minutes will be used up by something that, some random thing, so you block it off, you protect it and say, I can do whatever I want, including being creative, brainstorming, and just kind of see what I come up with. So I would give that a try. I think you'll enjoy it.
All right.
I can't wait to see what you create.
Yeah.
What other areas are we struggling with? Like, do you guys feel like one area of your life is like really dominating your schedule? Like, obviously work, kids, family obligations, things like that we can work on. Somebody want to throw a scenario out there?
Mine is just the weekend. I know I'm not alone with this, but during the week I'm running around working and kids and everything. And weekend comes and I gotta get the house done and the laundry and meal prep. And lately I've been just overwhelmed. I mean, I look around, I work on the house and the kids come through and everything is just like it was before. And then I get overwhelmed and I'm like, what the hell? I just quit. And then when I quit, then it's just worse the next week because I have more stuff piling up to do. And then I'm just buried myself in a big hole. And it's stressful because all that stuff around me is really stressing me out.
Yeah. Yeah. In those moments, like, you got to go back to priorities of like, when you're feeling like that, we got to make sure we're rocking our sleep, because if you are not hitting that in those situations, it just multiplies it, like how much it sucks by like a millionfold. So make sure you kind of cross that off and make that a priority. And it almost seems counterintuitive when it's like, God, I'm so stressed out and I'm so busy. Well, Adam says I need to sleep more. It's like, I don't have time to sleep more, Adam, you idiot. But when you prioritize it, like I said, you'll be more effective, more efficient. You'll be able to think through things more clearly, be able to handle stress better. But then like when it comes to family stuff, like you got to like ask for help, and you got to communicate and be like, listen, my son, Henry, like he'll just get naked and change his clothes and leave his clothes wherever he decide to get naked. He's 8 years old. He doesn't care. And like just getting him dressed is an accomplishment. But, we have a system where I have a dry erase board and he gets like strikes. And if he gets 3 strikes during the day, then he doesn't get TV the rest of the day. So this is like a big deal. And so if he like leaves his school belt out, or his, if he doesn't clean up his clothes or put away his shoes or whatever, I'm like, it's just understood. I'm like, hey man, you got to do this because it helps me. Otherwise I've got to do it. And that takes a lot of time. If I'm picking up after everybody, then that's a big issue. So just implementing some rules like that with kids or husbands, if you need to, get Lance a strike board. You're like, 3 strikes, no TV for you, sir. But, just implementing some of those rules like that helps. And but being willing to have an open conversation with family members and be like, listen, this is, this is eating up a lot of my time. I'd rather be spending that time with you guys. So if we can all chip in a little bit, kind of have that family powwow and see if that, communication doesn't hurt anything is my mantra. So does that help? So sleep, communication, have some rules, make the kids do it.
It's easier when they're younger because, they don't go for the stars anymore. And, you ask them to pick something up. It's like, oh no, I'm asking them to stick needles in their eyes. I just ask them to load the dishwasher.
Yeah.
And it's so much of a hassle that it's like not even worth it. Sometimes it's not worth my energy and my stress to fight with them and do it. It's like, just
take their car, take their vehicle away, Tracy.
I know. They don't have one yet.
Car keys, mine. All right. What else we got out there? Any work stuff? Is anybody like working like a salaried job that you feel like people just keep on like dumping more stuff on top of you that you aren't actually being compensated for? No? Yes, a little bit. Let's see here. Heather, come on here and talk about this app. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's fabulous. So it's like a paid app that's like your mom. So it comes on and says, now you're brushing your teeth. Now you're taking a shower. Now you're taking your vitamins. Now you set it up. Now you're meditating. Now you're exercising. So it's pretty much a paid app that it's your mom and it tells you what to do. But I don't realize how long it takes me to do stuff. So now I'm like, I have to set aside at the end of the day an hour and a half. In the morning I have an hour and a half to get ready. So it really helps out.
Nice.
So,
fabulous.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. No, like I've got one of my mentors, he lives in 15-minute increments. and he makes decisions and he'd be like, is this worth 15 minutes of my time? And is this worth a 15-minute block or not? And that's how he decides whether he's going to take a meeting or talk to somebody or watch TV or whatever. Like, how am I going to spend the next 15 minutes, and is it worth it? So I love having those reminders like that. And that, like Heather said, that is going to make you aware of how much time you need in the morning or at night as you start your wind down routine. So that's amazing. Any other tips from you guys? Any other like apps or just strategies that you guys use to like schedule, journal, anything like that?
I joined a book club to force myself to read and be accountable, because I missed that. And so, we meet once a month, and I have a book that I have to read, and so I read it.
Nice.
It kind of forces me to do it.
I still think that's a good idea that we need to implement with the group. I think it'd be fun to have a book of the quarter club or something like that. It'd be fun. What else? Who else has something?
I got another struggle.
Yeah.
Basically, like, for a long time, I've had kind of a mental block that I still really struggle with about scheduling specific tasks at specific times for myself. Like, I don't know. I have a kind of narrative in my head that I'm not great at being my own boss, and I'm much better at showing up when other people tell me. That's kind of why coaching is going so well, because I have to be somewhere at a certain time, and I'm there. It's fine. And then I'll be all excited to have my free time in the afternoon, and by the time I get home, I'm just kind of fizzled out or whatever. And even when I do try to take some time the night before and plan stuff, I can make a list of things I want to do. And then when I face the planner and try and be like, okay, this now, like, I kind of go to pieces. I don't know. I'm really scared of disappointing myself, scared of like not doing what I said I was going to do. I have a hard time being accountable to myself for stuff. Not sure what kind of hacks, or I feel like I got to trick my own brain.
Yeah, I've got it. I've got you, Ian. So you are an artist. You're a musician. You're a performer. What you want to think is front stage, backstage. All right. When you're on stage, you're in flow. You're doing your thing. Right. But it's not necessarily backstage, but there's show time and then there's prep time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can approach each day like that. What I do, like, I use this mindset to set up my entire week, where I split my days, my work days, well, every day into, I label it a free day, a focus day, or a buffer day. And as an entrepreneur, but I mean, you could do this too. So I use my focus days. Like, today's a focus day. This is me on stage, right? I'm front of the line talking to you guys. I'm interacting. I'm coaching. Mondays and Thursdays are buffer days. That's kind of like when I'm backstage. That's when I'm prepping things.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm setting myself up for my focus days. I'm preparing, notes for this chat. I'm doing like bills and random stuff like that needs to be done. And then my free days are, where I recover, basically. So if you were to go on tour for, 4 months in a row and you're playing shows all the time and you're like, focus day, focus day, focus day, focus day, you need a period of time to relax and recover. And those would be free days. You're off stage. So you can approach your weeks or your daily calendar kind of like that and be like, okay, is today an on-stage day? Am I teaching? Am I coaching? Or am I on stage literally performing? Or is this more of a buffer day where the overall goal is to set up success? Maybe you're practicing, maybe it's band practice, or maybe you're developing relationships with the gym or doing continuing ed. Or you're just taking care of stuff that needs to be taken care of. But I would try to start setting up your schedule. If you have any control of your schedule, especially as an entrepreneur or independent artist, musician, then try to set up your schedule so it has a flow like that. What I don't, I don't like to promote ice cream on here, but you guys know, like Neapolitan ice cream, when you open it up, there's like the three like distinct colors, the different flavors. There's chocolate, there's vanilla, there's strawberry. But when you put them all in the bowl, it all melts together and you don't know what color you've got. That's what most people's schedules look like. My schedule, when you open it up, you know what the day is. There's a theme to every day. So it's but I would start with just like one day and be like, okay, obviously like a Saturday night or a Saturday, that's like focus day. That's you're on stage, you're performing, or whatever. And then, but you're also probably going to have some of that going with the gym. It doesn't have to be a full day either. Like you can be like the morning on Tuesdays is focus time, and then it's backstage on Tuesday afternoon. And that way I'm kind of doing client follow-up after a class or whatever it is. So it doesn't have to be.
No, I like that a lot, especially in the sense of like blocks, because I guess sometimes I'll get home from the gym and feel like I need a nap or meditation or something. But if I actually scheduled half hour, an hour of there's your free time for this hour, you can sleep, you could meditate, whatever. Then we're back to buffering, back to preparing for the next. I like it. I like it a lot. It could be a big help.
Yeah. I mean, if you're tired and you go in and you've got all this busy work, you're not going to be effective with that.
Right.
Like that's when 100% of the time I'm like, okay, got to go knock out a 20-minute nap, 30-minute nap. And I come out of that and I can get that work done in half the time than I would if I'm just like struggling and just, oh man, this sucks. And if you're doing work and all you're thinking about is you're tired and sleepy, then go take a freaking nap. Like go sneak away. Or if you can't, if you're like at like a 9-to-5 job, then no, I need to get to bed earlier, or I need to fix the situation. It's usually not a caffeine ad situation either. It's usually more sleep time is the solution there. So
I actually have something if it helps.
Go for it.
I've actually, like, when I've had days when I can barely keep my eyes open, we don't have like a room where you can go. We have an open landscape at work. I've actually gone into the bathroom with my headphones for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just sat on the floor. If it's a nice bathroom though, like, come on. But like, just like and completely shut down the lights and had a 5-10 minute meditation. Because nobody notices you're gone for that. They don't know what you're doing in the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
So why not? So that's actually helped me a lot.
Yeah, doing a little 5-minute meditation. That's a great idea. If you guys are feeling sleepy, a lot of times just getting up and moving, drinking water, just do some push-ups or something like that's going to get you're going to have a hormonal reaction to that, and that's going to get your nervous system firing as well. So, yeah, awesome. Any other questions or strategies that you guys like to do that keep you efficient and effective, or any struggle areas? All right, cool. We nailed it. Well, if you guys think of anything, let me know. We can always bring it up in our hot seats. But just again, in general, like if you only get one thing out of this over the next week, I want you to think about, is my foot on the gas pedal full blast, and am I holding on to the wheel? Like if your foot's on the gas pedal, at least hold on to the wheel and make sure that you're steering the car and you have a little bit of foresight and control over your schedule that next day. Because if you don't control your schedule, someone else will, and you will not like the decisions that they're making with your time. All right. That's the moral of the story. Well, hey there. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you are ready to reclaim control over your transformation momentum, then it's time to head on over to millionpoundmission.com and start your free 10-day trial of the Transformation ReBoot program today to get full access to our one-on-one hot seat coaching session, just like you heard with this episode. Now, with this program, you're going to get plugged into an amazing system of positive accountability, an incredible community of like-minded people, and you always have a rock-solid game plan to work from. So important, right? Now, speaking of important, momentum is precious, and I want to help you create continuous positive momentum towards your transformation goals starting today. This very moment can change everything for you. Now, registration will be closing at the end of July, and you won't be able to get in again until October when we launch a new group. So head on over to millionpoundmission.com and get all of the program details. Now, remember, the perfect time to reclaim control over your transformation is right now.